If you're doing any major cycling event this year, Join can create a custom plan for your availability, your level that's catered to the demands of that event. Download the app, check out the events, and start as the best version of yourself. All the pressure on Isaac Del Toro, but he was looking cool, calm, and collected at the start of UAE Tour Stage 6. Tiberi looking a little bit more tense with the leader's jersey on his shoulders. He's having to defend and probably is going to be under attack from a lot of different riders. This is the Jebel Hafeet stage. We had a tailwind up Hafeet. Normally it's a headwind, so that lowers the effective gradient. It's about 7Ks, 8%, 8.5% in the hardest section in the middle. It levels off at the end, 25 to 28 minute effort. And we started in the Al Ain Oasis, which was, yes, some welcome relief in the shade for the riders. It was about 30 degrees, so pretty hot, but I mean, the wet bulb temperature, nothing on January in the Gold Coast, I don't think. Lotto Intermarché controlling. They had Leonard Van Aert up there in GC. He's won this stage before. He's won GC on this stage before. And we get to the mountains. Breakaways are nearly caught. They started with about 1:30. Tarling was pulling for Peter Oxenberg, their young rider, in front for Ineos. Florian Vermeersch, like we saw on the start of Jebel Mobra, he starts to pull. You see Isaac Del Toro pour a bottle of water over his head. So cooling's important. They are in the shade here. We've got Tejada in GC for Astana. Remco said he would try to do his best on this stage. We've got Van Aertveld, Tobias Johannesson, Derek G, Felix Golf with Decathlon, CMA, CGM. You see Del Toro next to Derek G there. And after Vermeersch, it's the two big rouleurs. Vermeersch, then Dan Holer, who's climbing very well at the moment. They start shredding Decathlon. So two new riders, Holer and Gregor Mulberger, the veteran. He looked in good shape. He destroyed this group, which is very impressive. But the question was why? Because unless Felix Gall thought he could drop everybody with 7Ks to go, especially with UAE having Yates there, it was probably a bit too early to launch. And you see Yates being smart here. He's got Del Toro in front of him. He just gradually lets the wheel go. And then Van Aertveld and Tejada, they snap respond to that. G, Stora, Van Wilder, Johannes and Nordhagen, they just let it, and Plapp as well, actually. They just stay behind and pace themselves. So they don't react to this Decathlon move. Tiberi reacts to the attack of Felix Gall. He's covered by Tiberi and Del Toro. Tarling, as I said, he had Oxenberg on his wheel. Tarling probably as strong as him, to be honest. He's climbed pretty well in these sort of stages before. And yeah, it was just too early from Felix Gall. And also Tiberi, you have to accept when maybe you're not the strongest. Like, look at Del Toro, accept losing to maybe someone else if it raises the chance you might win the overall, because Del Toro with Yates, they're not going to let Felix Gall just right away. They're not. Or Remco, or Tejada. They're not just going to sit there in their home race when Remco attacks and be like, happy days, he can win GC, no one else will chase. Tiberi doesn't have to do this. Admittedly, he's not been in this position many times before, so, the pressure is high. You just chase everything. Maybe he wanted to use Remco as someone to sort of pace him, to keep the pace going. But yeah, Remco's more than 1 minute behind him on GC. He's now responded twice, and G comes back. He just keeps the pace going. So he's opening himself up to being countered. Did those two mistakes make the difference in the end? Probably not, but every little counts. If you're just on the precipice of being dropped, an extra effort in the middle of the climb, that could be the difference. Felix Gall very unusually tries to drop Tejada whilst he's seen Yates is chasing in full gas behind, whilst looking over his shoulder, which is Felix Gall, like Froome style, spinning it up. He does drop Tejada for the time being, I think, but that was, again, they're having like a battle 5 seconds ahead of the peloton. Look at Del Toro, smooth. I mean, yes, he responded to the goal attack smoothly initially in the wheel of Tiberi. He had to. But he's not getting involved in the nonsense that Tejada and Felix Gall are doing. He's riding smooth. They got a plan. Yates is going to keep it at 10 seconds. And then Del Toro is obviously going to attack somewhere. Rather strangely, there's a crash. Van Wilder tries to move Nordhagen off Johannesson's wheel. Nordhagen then surprises him by moving quickly out of the way. And then the lack of resistance, I think, makes Van Wilder go down. So he would lose his position in the top 10 on GC. Le Cerf would try to pace him back. I think he would have finished with the Johannes and G Nordhagen guys. That's roughly what his level was on Jebel Mobra. And Del Toro attacks, and I have to fast forward this for you. 60 seconds out of the saddle, sprinting on her feet, goes past Tejada, past Felix Gall. How long can Tiberi hold the wheel? Reminds me a little bit of when Pogacar was attacking Vingegaard last year on Saint-Hilaire, and in fact, Tiberi does let the wheel go. Del Toro sees that, keeps pedaling, but Tiberi actually smartly realized that Del Toro, after 1 minute, did have to eventually sit down, gets back to the wheel, but here the tailwind did make a big difference. If it's a headwind, it's it could be a 15-watt delta, 20-watt delta for what Tiberi had to do to stay in that wheel, and that can make all the difference. Del Toro slows down, Plapp comes back, he paced this very, very well. Huge performance from him this week, but unfortunately as he gets back, Del Toro on the steepest section, 10%, uses the width of the road to get up to speed and then attacks Tiberi again, and this time, once you see the head go down, that's night-night. Curtains for Tiberi. He cracks. Del Toro is riding away. He had to take 17 seconds on the road, assuming Tiberi came second. But that was a big assumption, because now you see where Del Toro is. Yeah, he's never closing 17 seconds or keeping it that short, even if he comes second, because it's going to level off. Del Toro's pushing more absolute power because he's heavier. It's flat, and now Plapp's attacking Tiberi, who's cracking all over. On the 35 kph section, Del Toro rips the gap open by like 15 seconds. And now Tiberi's getting attacked left, right, and center by Plapp, who's thinking of podium on GC. Del Toro, yeah, he lost a bit of time to Plapp in the last K, but the two huge bursts he had to do meant that he didn't do the fastest possible climb. He wasn't trying to do the fastest possible climb. Del Toro was trying to drop Tiberi. He did that. Very impressive. Wins the stage, takes a big enough gap, one would think, on GC, and relieves himself of probably a lot of pressure because he was supposed to win GC here, and they sent Poggy here to win last year. Del Toro wins Plapp, very impressive second, Goal third, then Tiberi on 31 seconds, Johannes and Nordhagen, G Tejada all on 36 seconds behind, then Gaudu, Store on a group of 48 seconds with Van Aertvelt. Here's what Del Toro had to say.
We want to believe as a team that I was convinced to win today. This is just a mentality game that you try to be confident enough to keep trying, and of course if one time it doesn't work, you need to still have in the head that you are able to do it, no? So today we are not confident that we will win, but we were with a mentality that we will work for it.
In terms of the GC, barring accident or incident tomorrow, this is the final top 10. Remco does move into the top 10 actually, because of the Van Wilder crash. Plapp moves up 2 spots, Goal up 3 spots. Van Aertvelt probably had the worst day compared to Jebel Mobra, where he was on the wheel of Del Toro for a long time. Quite an entertaining GC battle, very high level. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you with the sprint tomorrow.